Hey, I'm Wade Bowen. Blast off to the music universe.
Wade Bowen, welcome to the Music Universe. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Always glad to have genuine artists on the show. You got a new album. It's called Flyin'. Please tell us about it.
Oh gosh, it's having a new album is always fun. It's always exciting. I really believe in this record, and like I've been telling people, an artist, a songwriter always says their most recent song they wrote is always their favorite, and the artist always says their most recent album is always their favorite. So I'm trying really hard not to say that this time because I know that's the most cliche answer, but even though I do believe it's my favorite, but I do believe there's an energy to this record that I've never had before. As I've when I this is the second record that I produced on my own of mine, and I believe that as I listen through to it, I think there's an energy to this thing that I've never had, something that I can carry over into my live shows, and something that we have carried over into my live show that has really amped things up and really given like a spirit to things that I've never had, something that just really cranked things up a little bit and just shown. And it really is not, it's not just about the tempo. It's just this energy, this spirit, this fun and happiness, and just showing that I'm having more fun than I've ever had. And I feel like I'm at the top of my game right now. This far into my career, it feels really good to hear all of that in this record, and I hope people hear that when they hear this record.
Yeah. And you said it's the second one you produced. What made you decide to self-produce as opposed to using an outside producer and or co-producing it with someone?
I just think it was a challenge. First of all, I really wanted to try to just see if I could do that. I've been a big um, I've always loved to be able to like throw myself into shark infested waters and swim my way out, right? Like that's what I've always tried to do, conquer my fears my entire career. That's what I've always wanted to do, right? And
Hmm.
I thought with the last record that was really fun to do. It was a challenge, and it was like, man, uh, it was scary as hell, but I also loved it. It was something that I really learned from, and so I really wanted to do another one just from the knowledge that I gained from the last record, and just see how far I've come, and just see what I'd gained from that, and just see how far I've come to do it. And I learned that it was kind of funny. I actually learned that it was much more difficult to produce the second record than the first one because I got deeper down in the well. With more knowledge became all of a sudden I got more frustrated, and I was really it was really frustrating. I looked over my engineer at one point, and I was like, why is this not sounding right? What is going on with this record? And he looked at me and said, well, it's because you're further into this one. You're hearing more things, and you're seeing more things, and you're deeper down in the well in this one. So it's frustrating you a lot more, which is a good thing. And I was like, well, I never thought of it that way. And so that it was just things like that that I really learned from, and really, so I really loved it. I really loved producing it. I really love being on the inside of it, and then coming out on the other side and getting it mastered, and then hearing it as a fan, and as an artist, getting to just listen to it from top to bottom is really fun. I really like being on both sides of it. I really enjoy the process of it, really more than I thought I would. I really thought after a while I would get bored with being in the studio and get frustrated and be like, okay, this isn't for me. And I've really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah. I when I played music and recorded, I would often get frustrated and throw the headphones
Yeah.
as a drummer. So, that I
I
know what you mean by
understand
that.
that. I understand that completely. I'm not saying I didn't do that either. So I wanted to throw the headphones quite often as well. So I get it.
Yeah. Well, "Raining on Me" is the first single from it, and it sounds like a Springsteen Eagles inspired track. Tell us about that one and how that became the first single chosen.
It's funny how the ones that you think are not going to be the singles always end up being the ones. This was the last song I wrote for the record, I think. I was looking for this song. This was the one I was lacking for the record. I needed. I kind of took the challenge. You know, I needed this style song for the last puzzle piece of the record. I needed a kind of tempo, little rocking thing. I was just lacking this kind of a song. And so I sat down with my buddy Randy Montana. I was like, I really need this kind of rocking thing, man. We're just lacking that one little piece of the puzzle, that kind of thing that we can just simple rocking, cranking thing that we can just turn on the amps and plug in and crank on, you know, when we get on stage or any of that, you know. And so we sat down and wrote this right before we went in the studio. And honestly, it's one of those, when I wrote, I was thinking, okay, this is just going to be one of those little final pieces of the puzzle. And it ended up being the single. You know, I have a lot of Springsteen. I named my son Bruce, for crying out loud. So I love to hear you say the Springsteen influence. Thank you for that, because I'm sure that comes out quite a bit in my music. And then I grew up, you know, when I first started playing guitar, you know, wearing my mom out, trying to, with the hitting terrible chords, not even hitting them right, and trying to, you know, I used to play songs for my mom all the time. Um, and the first stuff I learned on the guitar was a lot of Eagles influence stuff. So uh, I think a lot of that stuff comes out every now and then, especially on this record, and especially on this song. So uh, I love to hear that. I love to hear that those influences are coming out, not even when I really mean to. So that's what influences are all about, right? I mean, they come out naturally without us even trying. That's when you know they're real influences.
Yeah, yeah, they are, and they really mean something to people when they can relate to it. And you've got the album came out May 10th, and any news on a second single?
I'm not real sure yet. I think we have some ideas and some thoughts on some songs, but you know that always changes. We have ideas, and then especially with streaming nowadays, we may know what we want is something, but then all of a sudden a song starts. The fans always speak up on songs that they love, and all of a sudden that changes, and you go with what's, you know, what's the hot item at the time, right? So
Right.
um, I really, you know, I think that's everything's so different from what I've from my entire career. I've been doing this so long now. Everything's so different, you know, and it's a day and age too where, you know, albums are, you know, I don't even know how people listen to albums anymore compared to when I first started. Right? It's like that's a
I still buy these things.
yeah, yeah, good for you. Thank you.
I've
Which
got
which
over 1,800 of them, and I still buy
oh
Blu-rays. I can't. I don't mind the digital files, but I've got to have the physical.
well,
There's
good
nothing
for
like
you.
it.
Thank you. You're one of the few, and I appreciate that. And
Yeah.
see, and that's what I love about. I think that's the strength of this record is that I believe it goes for both sides of the spectrum. I think this album I still it's cohesive enough to still be good enough for people that want to listen to it from top to bottom. But I believe that I still adjusted enough as a producer to where I still I could focus on these individually as from track to track where I left myself enough freedom to focus on the track individually where I didn't just say okay because in the past I made sure that the album was very cohesive, and I made sure that they all fit together. You know, does that make sense? And so
Oh yeah.
I still feel like I did that with this record, but I also gave myself the freedom to not be as strict with that. And so I let my guard down a little bit with the tracks individually. And so it was a lot of fun to kind of do that, to not be so uptight about that, and to just say, okay, you know, it's okay if I go a little bit away from the record cohesively and just and let the track breathe a little bit here. If I want to try something different, or I want this to be a little bit different, um, it didn't bother me as much. And it was kind of fun to just know that, okay, if someone is just listening to this track only, as people are going to do, you know, our attention spans for the most part are pretty short nowadays, right? A lot of these people, a
Yeah.
lot of people are just listening to a couple of tracks off this record, unfortunately. So, with that freedom, I just kind of produced some of these tracks. I produced each track individually, also, is my point, and tried to just give myself that freedom. And so, it was interesting to do that as a producer and try to, I guess, try to not be so old school, right? Even though
Yeah.
I fought that, I fight that every day. Go, man, because I'm like you. I want to. I want to put a record on and drive down the road on a road trip and listen to a record from start to finish and see what the artist says and why they put that together. And
Mhm.
it's just, unfortunately, it's just not the way people listen anymore.
Yeah, I mean, with albums, you get some gems in there that haven't been released, but now with streaming, people typically just go to the hits, or in your case, maybe they're picking album specific songs, and then you guys see the stream numbers like, well, this is the next single. So that's important too, because it also kind of engages the fan base more than we could with just releasing a project.
Yeah, yeah, it really does. I mean, I think, they flip through it and decide what grabs their attention and what they want to hear and what they want to listen to over and over again, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
it's not a bad thing. I think it's not just the music business. If you look at, I mean, look at movies. They're splitting movies up into Netflix series where we're watching movies in 8 and 9, 10 episode series, right? So
Yeah.
everybody knows that that's the way people's attentions are. It's not even attention spans. Everybody's so busy doing, running in these rat races all over the place, and it's just the day and age we live in. So we're just trying to keep people involved and keep people and keep their attention spans. So it's just how it is. It's all how we adjust and keep people listening. And
Yeah.
however they choose to listen, I don't care. I just want them listening, right? So I believe there's something that's the greatest thing about this record to me. The strength of this record is the diversity. I think there's more diversity in this record than anything I've ever done. There's some straight up honky tonk. There's some stuff that kind of goes along with what this hold my beer stuff is that I do with my buddy Randy. There's some of that in this record. There's some Merle Haggard sounding stuff on this record. There's some classic rock sounding stuff on this record. Um, there's some stuff that could fit in there with if I did shows with Eric Church. There's some stuff that could fit in there with, um, you know, uh, the Texas country stuff that we do every day on the road. I think there's so much diversity within this record, and that's something that I really, really am happy about, and really thought out to do when I produced this record.
Yeah, and speaking of teaming up to do shows, you've got a few shows with Miranda Lambert this weekend in Texas. She's a good friend of yours. How did those dates come about?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be so much fun. Miranda is my buddy, and when she was talking about doing a Memorial Weekend, 3 days or something, like gosh, Whitewater in my town, it's like
Hmm.
good Lord. I mean, what I couldn't think of anything better, and I just recommended. I said, hey, I'll throw my name in the hat of jumping on those shows with you if you wanted to do them together, and she was like, absolutely. If you would love to do those with me, that sounds like the perfect storm to me. And so it worked out great. Our teams got together and figured it out. And, um, we've been talking for the past, I don't know, a few months about songs we're going to do together, special appearances. And it's going to be a big party, a 3 day party for us. And uh, all kinds of fun songs we're throwing together and things we're going to do. She's one of my best friends and has been for a long time. And we haven't really written a whole lot of songs together because every time we get together, we just laugh and have too much fun. We don't even think about writing much together. It's funny. We laugh about that all the time. Like, how have we not written that many songs together? It's because we get together and goof off too much, But
Yeah.
she's just a great friend, a great person, and one of my favorite voices in all of music, and one of my favorite people to play shows with, sing with, and everything. And so we're going to have us a big party down here in New Braunfels, Texas. It's going to be an absolute blast. Can't wait. 3 days of it. I mean, it's in my backyard. Whitewater is one of the best venues there is, in my opinion, and it's right. They call it under the stars on the river, and it really is. You're the back of the stage is literally on the river, and
Oh,
it's just
wow.
it's about as pretty as it gets. So it's going to be a beautiful setting for for a great time.
And a perhaps once in a lifetime chance for people to see this, or could this maybe be an annual thing?
Well, we've done it before, but not like this. I mean,
Hmm.
we've done one show together, but not 3 days in a row like this. And I really hope that it turns into an annual thing. I think this is something that's really special, and in my opinion, this should be an annual thing because you got two Texans that are good friends that can really throw. We're known for throwing pretty good parties together and on our own. So I think when you get us two together and our families are pretty good partiers and all of us, we should be able to throw pretty good parties together. I would hope so. I'm assuming it's going to be a pretty good time, and hopefully it goes off without a hitch, and we have an absolute blast, and everyone has a good time, and we can look back and go, okay, we need to do this every damn year.
Yeah, that's going to be an awesome show. You recently teamed up with the Texas Rangers and performed the national anthem for opening day. How important was that for you?
Um, I don't know if important is the word. It was. Um, I'm still speechless, honestly. The fact that they called, the fact that I got to do that, it was the ultimate honor for me. The fact that they trusted me with that day and that honor, um, I'm still speechless. It's such an important. It's the first world championship that they ever had, right? And so what a year as a fan. I went to two of the World Series games last year. As a fan that year was just unbelievable for me to be a part of. I still can't believe that we won finally, and it was so fun. And then to get the call, uh, hey, we want you to sing the national anthem on opening day. We're going to have the trophy there, and we're going to have we're going to, you know, unveil the banner in the ballpark, and we're going to have the teams out, down the baselines, and we're going to be on ESPN, and we want you to sing the national anthem on TV and for the opening day. I mean, I still can't believe it. It was such a huge honor that the team asked, and like I said, that they put that trust in me and faith in me. It's unbelievable. I'm speechless, and I'm so thankful that they did that. It really means more than I could ever. I have no words, honestly. It just
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan, and it means more than I could ever even say. It just it's a dream come true, and as a sports fan for me, and I played sports my whole life. I played baseball and everything, and it just was a very surreal moment for sure.
Right. Now, I believe that's the song that makes Reba the most nervous because she doesn't want to forget the words. Were you that way too? Because it's
Yes,
such an honor, like you said, to do that.
yeah, for sure. I don't know why they don't make it mandatory to have the words there for anyone that does the national anthem because you would think by now, as often as people have forgotten the words, they should just make it mandatory to have the words out there for anyone that sings because it is so nerve wracking. Number one, it's such a difficult song to sing. It really is. I mean, I know sitting in the stands at any sporting event, you think it's not, but it really is. It starts so low and you have to get so high in the middle of it to sing. So if you start at the wrong key, you're doomed. There's no recovering from it.
Yeah.
But secondly, it's so nerve wracking. You're in a moment there um, that's just it's a very nerve wracking moment, I'm glad to hear that Reba gets nervous too because I think everyone gets nervous singing the national anthem. It's such a on your everyone just spotlight on you, right? And no one's talking
Hmm.
or anything, and it is a nerve wracking moment. Everyone gets anxious and and there is a moment every single time I've ever sang it where I'm thinking, "Oh my, am I singing the right words right here?" And you don't ever think that when you're in the stands singing it as a sports fan. You never
Right.
forget the words, right? It's the easiest song ever. But yeah, I was glad I actually was facing out center field, and the lady right as we were going out there, she was very helpful, and she said, "Hey," and also just letting you know they'll have the words out in center field. And I was like, oh, cool. That's very
Right.
helpful. So
Takes
it
a
was a
little
great day for sure.
alleviates quite a bit of stress there, I would say. At least you have
Yeah,
the
no, it's
words.
great.
Just got to make sure you get the notes. Well, before we let you go, I want to talk about your Bowen Family Foundation. You've raised $6 million to date for local charities focused on healing children and families. Well, for one, congrats on that.
Thank
And
you.
tell us about that charitable aspect that some people may not realize you have.
Yeah, it's the Bowen Family Foundation. It's it's not, I don't call it. I didn't name it the Wade Bowen Foundation. I called it the Bowen Family Foundation because it is a family affair for me. It is, it's very important that my sister is involved and my parents are involved, and everyone in my family. We're a big family, and everyone works hard, and so I wanted to make sure that everyone who was involved knew it wasn't just me. It's very important and to all of us, and that's the way I was raised. My dad, when I was a kid, he would around Christmas he would take a check, and I never knew how much it was, and he would fold it over, and he would pull up to Salvation Army and hand it to me and make me run and hand it to the lady at the front, and would never tell him who it was from. He would just hand it to her, and she would ask who it's from, and I would never tell him. And he didn't want the credit, and all that. So that's the way I was raised. So it's a big part of our lives and always has been. And so I've always enjoyed this when we started the foundation, just having a way to give back to people, and we raise the money, but we're giving to those charities that are really in the trenches doing the real work. We're just raising the money, but we're just trying to give to those that are really doing the work out there. And our mission really is to not give to national charities. We don't want to give to the national charities that are already getting so much support. We're trying to give to the smaller ones that really need the money, that are literally helping keep the lights on, the ones that are down literally in the trenches keeping people alive every single day. And so we go through as a charity, as a board, 2 to 3 times a year, and give out grants based off what people need. And sometimes it's $5,000, sometimes it's 50, sometimes it's really whatever they need. And um, it's crazy. Sometimes $5,000 can really keep someone afloat for a year. It's crazy. So we love doing it. It is anything involving children or families. We keep it very broad just so we can help. And you can go to bowenfamilyfoundation.org, and we submitted a go through our website through the form, and they fill out who they are, and uh, how much money they need and why they need it and all that. And we go through and make sure we examine everything real closely as who they are. And we've even gone and visited some of these places before we give them money, and make sure that
Hmm.
everything's legit and all that. We're very cautious about it all, but we love doing it. And I've made phone calls, and my sister's made phone calls or visited people, and they'll just start crying on the phone, and things like that. I mean, that's why we do it. I mean, it's very important to us. We love doing it. Of course, we love throwing the parties or throwing the events. All that stuff is really fun too. But it all goes
Right.
back to being able to give back to those in need. It's very important to us and our family.
Well, you are definitely honorable for that, and love to hear that. Congrats on the Texas Radio Awards. I know you've won three more for the second year in a row. Looking
Thank you.
forward to hopefully seeing you out on the road as well. Anything you want to say before we wrap this up?
I just want to reiterate, that we're anybody who comes out and see our show. I think I've got the best show going I've ever had right now. We're having the most fun I've ever had playing music, most fun I've ever had writing songs, the most fun I've ever had in the records. And I hopefully you hear that. Hopefully hear that in this interview right now. Hopefully you hear that in the socials, and um, in the records and in the live show. Everything we're doing right now, it's really fun for me to hear that, to say all that this far into my career. I've been playing music a long time, and It's really fun to feel like everything's clicking on all cylinders this far into my career. So um, I enjoy. If you can't tell, you can't shut me up right now. I really enjoy even interviews right now, talking about the music and talking about my career. It's really fun. So I hope, if whether you're an old school fan of ours, or brand new, I hope I encourage you to spread the word and tell your friends and give us a chance to come out and watch a show. And we appreciate you giving us a chance with the new music. I'm really proud of this record. And thanks for your time as well. I know you guys are busy, so thanks for this opportunity today.
Oh, loved having you on. Absolutely, anytime. Well, Wade, thank you so much.